Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be ranking all the specials in Anime Fighting Simulator X. So as you all may know, specials are different powers such as stands, quirks, or fruits, or boss drops. So for example, this is like a stand and this is like some of its powers. These are basically abilities that you use within the game to basically like help beat bosses and stuff. So there are actually a bunch of them, and today I'm going to be ranking all of them. So first up, we have everything in the S tier. So the first item that we have is One Tail. So the One Tail boss drop is from Shukaku, and it has 1% chance of dropping. But this is probably the best transformation in the game right now. It is extremely OP, and you can only get it from the boss drop, because it's a 1% drop. And it's definitely worth it though, because it does insane amounts of damage and has short cooldowns. But there are 3 stages to this, as shown above. So there's the first stage, and the second stage, and you have to do a quest to level this up. This is basically insanely OP because it does like a ton of damage, and its cooldowns are relatively low. That's why I would most definitely recommend getting this. But this is hard to get, so now I'll show you an easier fruit to get. So the next item on the S tier list is the mirror fruit. So the mirror fruit is actually extremely OP because it has an ability that no other fruit has, which is burn damage. And the reason this is so OP is because when you're fighting like boss, it has an insane amount of initial damage, and it has burn or tick damage right after. So it could do probably like 3k damage to a boss, and then it does like 3k more damage over time eventually, so it does 6k damage in total. And this alone just makes it insanely OP because no other special does that. And then we have the next item in the S tier, which is actually a brand new overhaul quirk. So originally this quirk was not that good, but they recently buffed a bunch of the moves, and I really like the playstyle of it because it has like a bunch of unique moves and it does some pretty decent damage. And as expected, it should be, because it's a 1% drop from a boss that can only be spawned from a 0.5% shard, which means that it has to be pretty OP. And next up we have the golden ape. So the golden ape is actually the last item in the S tier because it's insanely OP. But one problem with this unit is that it only is based off strength damage, not chakra, and it doesn't give a universal buff either, just like One Tail. So that's why I would put this at a low S tier, but it's still insanely OP because it's pretty hard to get, and the moves that you get with it like can almost like delete and melt bosses like super quickly. That's why I would recommend getting this. We have the A tier. So in the A tier we actually have the brand new Gura and Ice Fruit. So let's start off with Gura. So Gura is a decently rare level fruit, and the reason that this fruit is in the A tier is because it does a ton of damage, and it also buffs your chakra abilities, I think. That's why I would definitely recommend using this. And then next up we have Ice. So Ice Fruit is really good, and it's really in the A tier because similar to Mara, it has a really cool effect that no other fruit or special has, which is that it has a freeze damage. So it actually freezes your opponent and actually stuns them. So this is super efficient for grinding or bosses or PvP because you can literally just freeze your opponent and then you could do whatever. That's why I'd put that at a high A because it's insanely OP. And yeah, that's everything for the A tier. Next up we have the B tier. So first item that we have in the B tier is Imperfect Renegon. So Imperfect Renegon is a boss drop from Pain, and I believe there's a 1% chance that you get this after fighting the Pain boss. And the reason it's ranked low is because it's not really worth the grind that you need to get to get it, but it's definitely really useful for AFK grinding because it has a move called Almighty Push, which basically has a huge radius and a really small cooldown, so you can target and AFK farm a bunch of NPCs at once. That's why it's in the B tier. Next up, the next 3 items are actually quirks. So first quirk that we have is Electric. Electric is really good because it has a really good value because it's only a common quirk, but it's ranked really high compared to the other legendary boss drops because Electric has small cooldowns and a lot of damage. So that's why I'm ranking it B. The next quirk is Half Hot and Half Cold. The reason this is really good is because it basically combines the effects of the Mara and the Ice Fruit because it has burn damage and freeze damage, and this makes it super OP for grinding and stuff. So I definitely recommend getting that. And this is Shota Todoroki's quirk from My Hero Academia, so that makes it pretty cool too. finally, the final item in the B tier is Explosion. This is Katsuki Bakugo's quirk from My Hero Academia. And the reason this is so good is because it has this one move, which is the X move, which absolutely melts bosses' health. And the entire thing is just the entire damage unit. It does so much damage to bosses. It's definitely a must get. I currently am using this quirk right now. That's why I would definitely recommend getting it, because it's extremely OP. The one time I was fighting the monkey boss and I beat it in probably 4 moves just with this explosion quirk. So that's why that is in the B tier. So that's all for today's video. If you want to see how I ranked everything else, please look at the tier list posted up above. So as you can see, I just wouldn't recommend using Arlongo or Armored Specials or Stands right now, because they're not that good. But I would definitely recommend using Quirks and Fruits, because they're really OP. And if you get Golden Ape or One Tail, then you should definitely grind that out. And yeah, that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, please subscribe.